Hey folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. How you doing there, Brian DeHart? DeHart. Let me know if you can hear me. I've got the headset set up. I've got the audio going. So it's January 27th, almost 28th, 2024. If you're like me, you just experienced on the stream, Peacock, the cock of the walk, the Royal Rumble 2024. Overall thoughts, a good show. I don't think I'd say it a great show. I'd say it definitely wasn't as bad as the Royal Rumble. I want to say 2 years ago, the one with Shane McMahon and Brock Lesnar and all that. Obviously, kind of the big news, the story behind the story. Vince McMahon once again stepping down from WWE. I think that was just yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? And so this, I guess you could say, the first premium live event in the post Vince McMahon era once again. But this time it might stick. But let's just talk about the show for now. Good show, solid show. I don't think anything, including the Rumble. Maybe the biggest news is Andrade. Andrade returned. Um, that's kind of good. He didn't win the Rumble. He seems like a guy who's very talented, but whether it's AEW or here in WWE, he just doesn't seem to be getting that big push. Maybe they'll put him in the LWO. Maybe that will help him. Maybe it won't. Other things that happened on this show, the women's Royal Rumble was actually probably the most fun. The crowd, in my opinion, folks, seemed quite dead throughout this show. I don't think the crowd did the show many favors. I mean, they weren't the worst crowd in the world, but once again, just kind of a mid crowd, as our buddy MJF would say. But the women's rumble had some real surprises, tapping into Total Nonstop Actions roster. First, Naomi, I believe, what was she, number two? She comes in there, and then we saw their champion, Jordan Grace. And they did not embarrass either lady. I mean, Bianca Belair had a elimination over Jordan Grace. That will, definitely something. If Jordan Grace ever goes over to WWE, or if they continue working with TNA, maybe as a feeder promotion, uh, that would be interesting. And I thought that was good. I thought the women's stuff was good. Obviously, Bailey, uh, longest winning Rumble winner for the women, but really, I mean, she's got to be in the top five or at least the top seven for men's overall time because I think she went 63 minutes, if I'm remembering correctly. So, and she didn't look tired. I mean, she looked really uh, good in winning this thing. Coming down to Liv Morgan, Jade Cargill. I thought that was a really good ending. I thought they made Jade look strong. Nia Jax was used really well as just a baddie, but can be overcome. It's interesting. They have Becky Lynch in there, but she's almost like the veteran who's there to just put over the younger people now. She's kind of in that role. Talk about Becky Lynch. I still say that they kind of dropped the ball on her. I know that she had pregnancy. She had pregnancy. She was pregnant, which took her out of wrestling for a while. But even before then, I think they botched Becky Lynch years ago. But she's still in there. Trying to think what else. No Mickey James in the Rumble. Might have expected that. They've used her for a few times. A lot of these NXT ladies, Tiffany was in there. She did quite well. Probably the story of the Rumble, the ladies' Rumble, besides Bailey winning, is really Jade Cargill, and maybe to a lesser extent the return of Liv Morgan. She looked cute as always. I mean, I think the thing with Liv Morgan is physically she's not very intimidating. She's just kind of a cutesy cutie pie wrestler. The girls like her, the guys like her. Everybody loves Liv Morgan. For her to win the title at some point, for her to have a program with Rhea Ripley, would be good. But you don't necessarily need to put a title on someone like Liv Morgan. She kind of is fine just the way she is, the chipper underdog. She did have that program a few years ago with Ronda Rousey, where she got some unexpected victories over Ronda. Speaking of Ronda Rousey, I did see a little tweet apparently that Ronda Rousey put out, kind of making mention of Bruce Pritchard as the avatar to Vince McMahon, saying that Vince McMahon is still in charge of the WWE because Bruce Pritchard is his avatar. I thought that was interesting. Once again, folks, let me know what you think. So Brian is saying, "What the fuck was that garbage?" What exactly was the garbage, buddy? Was it the Ronda Rousey tweet? Because remember, by the time I see your comment, I might have rattled off a few more sentences or even paragraphs. There is a little bit of a delay sometimes. When you're please, by all means, make more comments, but sometimes there's a little bit of delay. So you got to be specific. What the fuck was the garbage? Are you talking about the men's rumble? Are you talking about the women's rumble? Are you talking about the Ronda Rousey tweet? Are you talking about the Vince McMahon stuff? Okay, so you're clarifying for me the women's rumble or the men's rumble? Which one was garbage? Or do you think that the whole show was garbage? What do you think, buddy? Okay, so now we're getting somewhere, Brian. You're thinking that the men's rumble was garbage. To me, it wasn't. It was very mid. Like I said, I just thought the men's rumble was mid. I thought we'll get into the Roman match. I thought that was kind of mid as well. It felt. I did like the CM Punk Cody ending. I mean, I was kind of thinking that Cody had to kind of be the guy to get it because his motivation. I mean, look, I think whoever wins, whoever was going to win that, CM Punk or Cody tonight, I feel that person was. You get the honor of taking the L at WrestleMania. You get the honor of putting over Roman Reigns in Philadelphia in a couple of months. And, second verse, same as the first. I think we're going to see Cody get pinned by Roman once again in Philadelphia, and it's going to feel a whole lot worse for Cody and for his fans. I just feel that Cody is basically being crucified. His character, he's being well paid for this, but his character is being well paid to be crucified. And basically, this is what happens to indie wrestlers. This is what happens when you leave Big Brother WWE. And yes, meet the new boss, same as the old boss, Triple H instead of Vince. But I just don't think they want to give the wrestling community, both the fans and other wrestlers now forever, they don't want to give them the idea that you can leave the WWE, be successful in other places, help launch a promotion that competes with the WWE, and you can do all that, and we'll take you back, but you're going to be putting over our guy. We're not going to have our guy put over you. So, I mean, I said that before last year's WrestleMania main event. I made a video that I gave Roman Reigns a 90% chance of beating Cody and Cody a 10% chance of beating Roman because you never know what's going to happen. And I was correct. And Brian, I don't know if you've been watching my other videos, but I've basically put my finger in the sky like Babe Ruth. I think about a year ago, maybe 10 months ago, I said, strap yourselves in because Roman Reigns is going to break Bruno Sammartino's record. If you count when Roman Reigns beat Bray Wyatt, I can't believe it, but it's actually the late Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman in that three-person match. It was on a pay-per-view. I thought it was SummerSlam, but apparently it wasn't. It was a pandemic era pay-per-view or premium live event. But if you start with that title victory, uh, then I think he's going to beat Bruno's record. And the reason why I said that, Brian, is because I don't think they want fans 50 years from now talking about some a guy named Bruno Sammartino. I think they want the fans 50 years from now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now, talking about Roman Reigns. So let me get into this though. You think Brock backed out because of the allegations? Yeah, Brock Lesnar was basically pinpointed, not named. I still haven't read the 67-page thing. I have a lot of stuff to do in my personal life and so forth. Um, but I will get around to reading the 67-page review. I'm going to be doing an interview tomorrow with a comic book creator, Dirk Manning, who basically is the creator of the Arn Anderson My Life is the Enforcer comic book. So that interview's tomorrow live, Brian, if you check in, and everybody else, 1:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel. You might be watching me on Facebook. You might be watching me on Twitter or on the replays, what have you nots. But if you could, subscribe to One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan channel. It's free. So let's go back to this show. So we had the Women's Rumble, like I said. I think the crowd was kind of dead. They picked up for Jade. Jade looked great. It was believable. It was conceivable that Jade Cargill was basically going to win this Women's Rumble, and then Jade versus whoever, Jade versus Rhea Ripley, you'd have to assume. Bailey, you're thinking that she's pretty much going to go after her, partner there in the damage control because you have a storyline there. And then Rhea, I think she's left open. I mean, they could still do Jade versus Rhea. I don't think they will. I think they'll probably stick us with Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax, either at the Elimination Chamber or at the Royal Rumble or at both. I think they're taking their time with Jade. Maybe they feel that she was not as well trained as she could have been coming out of AEW, where she was the TBS champion for a long time. They still want to put the WWE Full Sail University NXT polish on her. That's fine. But I did think Jade did well, and I think the crowd reacted well. They could also just do a nice singles match. What if they just did Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill at WrestleMania? I think in that case, the smart move would be to have Jade win because you're trying to get her in on this. Yeah, Bailey did win the thing. So when you said Brock backed out, so I didn't answer your point there, buddy. Brock Lesnar was kind of named in these allegations. Basically, that he was a wrestler that was going to be basically bribed with sex. This poor woman who's claiming that she was basically the sex toy of Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis. Real life stuff here, folks, not storyline. I'm laughing because it's absurd, not because it's funny. But this poor woman with her lawsuit. Now, other people are saying, well, she accepted all these bribes, all these gifts, these cars, etc. I mean, it's a really bad situation. It's really weird and disgusting and vile. And Brock Lesnar, either through fault of his own or no fault of his own, has been named in this thing. And Brock, if you remember when Vince McMahon, retired the first time back in 2022, wasn't there a show going on, a SmackDown or a Raw? And supposedly Brock Lesnar left the building in disgust, saying, if Vince isn't here, I'm not going to be here. So in the court of public opinion, that little tidbit's coming back to haunt Brock because people are like, well, how deep in was he with Vince, so to speak? Like, how much do these guys really care about each other? So in any event, that whole thing, a dark cloud, and to be honest, Brian and anyone else who's watching, whether in live time or in the replays, um, it's just interesting, and it's beyond interesting. It's just nuts, and Brock Lesnar, as Brian was saying, had he been at the Royal Rumble tonight, had he been booked, is it possible that he would have won? In theory, if Brock Lesnar wins, isn't he supposed to not be able to challenge Roman Reigns because they had that unification match at WrestleMania 2 years ago? So if they actually honored that stipulation, would Brock then choose to wrestle Seth Rollins? Is that a match any of us really need to see? I mean, we did see that 10 years ago when Seth was the heel champion and Brock got a title match against him. I actually had never watched that pay-per-view. Maybe I should. I think I had another train of thought and I just confused myself. But it's just a big nasty mess there, Brian. And we're all still trying to wrap our heads around it. I had some fun with it on Facebook. I kind of always like to ask the WWE fans how accountable they make themselves to these situations. I know that we're not in the boardrooms they were with these people, but still, we support this promotion through thick and thin. I don't think Brock ever cared or did a thing. Someone took his spot, is all. Uh, yeah, when you say someone in the Rumble, I mean, they did have that Pat McAfee thing, which I thought when Pat McAfee was doing commentary and then he got picked, whatever number he got picked, 20 or 25, and he kind of went in and he walked away. I'm talking about McAfee now. I thought that could have been an opening for something better where they had like a 31st guy come out. I guess I was kind of expecting more surprises in the men's Rumble. I mean, we had Andrade was basic. I'm getting the guy's name wrong. Andrade is what I'm calling him, but what's his real wrestling? What's his WWE name? Because I'm confusing his. I'm talking about Charlotte's husband. or Ric Flair's son-in-law. What's his actual WWE name? But I mean, I think he was the only real surprise. They didn't do a thing where they brought in Hacksaw Jim Duggan or Big Daddy Cool Diesel or some other, remnant, some other relic. Some people were even predicting Hulk Hogan would be there because he did this promotional thing for the Rumble this year. Hogan is a two-time Royal Rumble champion. They did make a big deal about um, the Cody could be the first two-time champion in over 25 years, and I'm believing that was Stone Cold Steve Austin, or the first back-to-back two-time champion. Which help me out here if I'm forgetting, Brian, but I think there's been three back-to-back Royal Rumble winners. Shawn Michaels, before him Hulk Hogan in 90 and 91, Shawn in 95 and 96. And do I have that right? Because 95 he went on to face Diesel and lose at WrestleMania 11, and then he did win in 96 again and fought Brett and win. Yeah, it's exactly who I was thinking of, Brian. Thank you, Andre. Yeah, but yeah, you've got an extra R in there, but yeah, Andre. And but in AEW he had like a three word name, didn't he? Um, yeah, they did some interesting stuff with the other companies with the TNA one. Um, and Steve Austin. So Hogan 91, 90 and 91. I just watched the Royal Rumble 1990 again recently. That was pretty fun. The one where Hogan and Warrior kind of combat each other. And then I think I'm going to watch some other old Royal Rumbles. Um, they just seem to be a little bit more epic. I mean, I think, one thing, Pat Patterson's name has come up for perhaps obvious reasons the last couple of days. But Pat Patterson, who essentially is credited for inventing the Royal Rumble, um, he seemed to do really well with the storylines, like those 1989, 90, 91, the Flair 92 Rumble. They all seem to have really good stories, and they just seem more epic. And this, to be honest with you, buddy, I mean, like I said, it felt like a very mid Rumble, with the exception of the end. I did find Punk and Cody to have good chemistry. They're both kind of average sized guys. They're not physique guys, although Cody's in better shape than Punk. But I just did feel that CM Punk and Cody did have a nice little mini match at the end. But was there other highlights in the men's Rumble tonight? I mean, Pat McAfee, like his highlight was coming in and being afraid. I'll be honest, I had some real personal stuff going on at the same time. I did have the Rumble on the whole night, but there was some other things that were distracting me. But the two Usos beginning at the Rumble, well, we've seen that before. I mean, we saw Demolition were the first two guys in the '89 Rumble, I believe. So I mean, I'm just telling you, I don't think that the storytelling in this men's Rumble, and I think Brian is with me on this, uh, it didn't have much there. I think the Cody thing was fine, but like I said, it felt like to me this show was good but not great. Let's talk about the Roman Reigns match and then the Logan Paul match here, Brian. Roman Reigns had three challengers for whatever reason. Although I am still predicting that Roman Reigns is going to beat the record held by Bruno Sammartino, and even if you listen to Michael Cole's god awful commentary tonight. As always, he's god awful, but he was really pitching hard the whole thing about how great Roman Reigns is. And if you feel that Roman Reigns doesn't defend his title often enough, then beat him. Okay, Michael. Well, you can't beat a guy if it's in the script not to beat the guy. It's just the commentary of WWE is so horrendous. That's to be honest, yeah, Michael Cole's the worst. And a lot of times, buddy, I don't watch Raw, I don't watch SmackDown on a regular basis because I hate hearing Michael Cole's voice. It's just such an irritant to me. The Moro Ronaldo guy from NXT 5 years ago, he sucked too. So I don't know. I mean, McAfee, Pat McAfee's decent. Tattoo neck I can live with, but Michael Cole, I just really hate his pitching. You would think that he would get better now that Vince McMahon's not screaming at him. I don't know if you've ever heard that little audio clip of Vince McMahon screaming at Michael Cole, and Michael Cole's eating a shit sandwich, so to speak, apologizing to Vince. But I just, I hate Michael Cole's commentary. He typically ruins great stuff. And this four-person match, I mean, Randy Orton, I mean, a couple of years ago, the expression was swole. When guys were big, they're swole. There was an AEW women's wrestler named Swole. But Randy Orton looked pretty swole. Like he's like 40 years old, 42 years old, and he's all jacked up. And, and I think it was Michael Cole said that Randy Orton is bigger than his leg is bigger than Michael Cole's body, which is probably true. But Randy, AJ is swole now. Everybody's swole. LA Knight's swole. All these big dumb muscle heads, three baby faces can't figure out a way to beat the heel champion. And am I wrong? Was it more or less clean? Like, didn't Roman Reigns more or less get a clean victory in there over the? And even if it wasn't, who cares? Because he's 3-on-1 disadvantage. So he did not stack them. I mean, I guess that was a thing that he didn't do. Roman Reigns did not stack three babyface contenders on top of each other and humiliate them and pin them and degrade them and demote them like he did to Daniel Bryan and Edge at WrestleMania 3 or 4 years ago, whenever that was. But still, Roman comes out looking very Roman-y. I don't think you can make a case even that was one of Roman's best matches. I mean, Roman has had some really good matches, and I'm not a big Roman Reigns guy, but in his title reign, I mean, some of his matches against Cena at SummerSlam was decent. The Cody match last year was very good at WrestleMania. We've had some really good we've had some really good Roman Reigns title defenses. That Edge and Danielson match, the Jey Uso matches were good. This one just felt very by the numbers. You know what I mean? It just felt like a lot of the stuff in that four-man match was by the numbers. I thought the worst part of it was LA Knight bonking AJ Styles' head against the table. It just things like that are just not logical. Like someone's grabbing you by the back of the head and you don't have the ability to put your hands in front of you and stop getting smashed. Yes, I know it's wrestling. And if you think about this stuff too much, it'll give you a headache. But when things are so abhorrent like that, Brian, I have to point it out. Another thing that was abhorrent in the women's rumble, somebody said something. Somebody say something about Tommy Rich here, but basically they were talking about has there ever been a tie in a Royal Rumble? And have we ever had two winners in a Royal Rumble? I'm trying to think in what context. It must have been in the women's thing because this was very early in the show. Have we ever had a tie in the Royal Rumble? Has there ever been two winners? Something like that. And I think Tattoo Neck said we've never had a tie in the Royal Rumble. Lex Luger and fucking Bret Hart assholes. I mean, I for whatever reason, not that it matters, I texted or tweeted Michael Cole, the dipshit, and I just said, get your facts straight. You're getting paid so much money to know all these things. Lex Luger and Bret Hart, that's exactly what they did. 1994, Providence. I mean, they did a really nice double winner thing, and they're both proclaimed the winners. And these shit for brains at WWE, they always try to revise history. I don't know if they know better or not. Sometimes they think they're just fucking with us. But in any event, there has been a tie. There have been two Royal Rumble winners in one match, Lex Luger and Bret Hart. I might even be forgetting something. Well, the Cena and Batista thing, they did have the tie, Brian, but unlike the 1994 thing where they ended the pay-per-view with two winners, Luger and Bret, in that one, which must have been, what was that, 2005? Cena and Batista, that's when Vince came out to the ring, blew out both of his legs, like blew out his groin muscle or his quad muscles or something, and was sitting there on the on the canvas trying to tell them what to do, and they basically did a restart, and Batista won. So Batista got to face his opponent of choice, and he chose to face Triple H. And if I'm remembering this correctly, am I remembering this one? And then Cena fought JBL. So if I'm remembering all that correctly, then that's what it was. But basically, it was what it was, man. I mean, so Batista was the official winner. But going back to Luger and going back to Bret, we have had a tie. And they could have even mentioned Cena and Batista. And as far as we know, Cena and Batista are both on very good terms with WWE right now, so they could have mentioned them. in that storytelling. I just get hung up on these things, when the WWE tries to rewrite and tweak their own history. I don't understand it. It annoys me and it pisses me off. And so I pointed out, and there you go. And I guess, unless I'm forgetting something, that kind of leaves us with our U.S. title match. There wasn't a whole lot of matches on the show, was there tonight, Brian? But we had this Logan Paul match. I really was not up for this match. I had some stuff going on. I did have the match on the whole time. I did keep one eye on it. It was some type of botchy DQ finish where Kevin Owens got disqualified. These type of things do kind of piss me off. I do respect Logan Paul for what he does in wrestling. When he actually wrestles, I think he's great. And I mean, I will say that Logan Paul is a great heel. He's a great competitor. He's learning very well under the Shawn Michaels learning tree. I guess my thing with Logan Paul is I'm still not a fan of the celebrities coming in whenever they want, and the real wrestlers have to do the honors for them. Whether it's Dennis Rodman, whether it's Lawrence the crack addict Taylor at WrestleMania 11 with LT and Bam Bam Bigelow. Whenever these celebrities wrestle, man, I really just feel like they should be putting over the wrestlers. I mean, if they're so goddamn famous and popular and they're not full time wrestlers, why don't they make the wrestlers look good? Why do the fucking wrestlers have to make their ass look good? Yes, that sounds like it's still real to me, damn it, wrestling fan, but it's just absurd. So I have nothing against Logan Paul when he does wrestle. I just feel like he's really good at it. If he wanted to be a full timer, he could be. Actually, he's kind of smart. I mean, you got to give him credit. If he's manipulated the system to get paid all this money and not wrestle a full time schedule and box when he wants to, you know what I mean? So anyway, KO should have won. Wow. Yeah, man. I mean, look, KO has been a three-time U.S. champion. Kevin Owens is one of those guys, and I think that Cody's headed in the same ballpark, buddy, where Kevin Owens is more over with the fans than he is with the office. And in fact, I had a term for that. I wish I could remember it. Um, I called it like over under or something like that. I made a meme about that, and this is going back to like Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro and maybe like Daniel Bryan or somebody, where I had like a picture of these three wrestlers. I think it was actually Mr. Woo 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 Cardona. So it was like Cardona, Cesaro, and Ziggler, which were they're more over with the fans than they are with the audience. I wish I could remember because I made a meme and everything. Like I sat there and made the fucking meme of these three guys that are more over with the fans than they are with the boss people. So in any event, yeah, the Rumble, I wouldn't say it was the shits or it wasn't. I don't think it was the shits or god awful. I think here's another tactic, Brian. If you kind of put the WWE in perspective, if you want to stay home on a Saturday night and have the wrestling on and do other things while you're doing it, or if you happen to have a house full of friends or family that want to watch this thing, it's good background fodder. Would I have spent the money to drive to Tampa, which is about 3 or 4 hours away from me, pay the money for a goddamn ticket in person just so I can 10, 9, like a fucking idiot for 3 hours? No. Um, you know what I mean? So I think it depends on what you're looking out of it, or what you're looking to get from it. If you just think of it as background fodder, something to have a conversation about, like I was going to say before, so I'm saying it now. Had this Royal Rumble, Brian, been in Chicago or Philadelphia or another town of intelligence, like town of educated, cynical, sarcastic Northeast pro wrestling fans, you would have had some good chance. You would have had some "We want Vince" or "Don't shit on my head" or "She's lying" or "She's telling the truth" or "No means no." You would have had some obnoxious fan chants, maybe a sign or two that we could have all laughed about and recorded and gotten a chuckle and a grin out of. But because it's Tampa, it's more or less Disney country. I know that Tampa is not Orlando, but my point is, I'm here in Florida. People here are really too polite for their own good. There's a lack of sarcasm sometimes, a lack of cynicism, which I miss. And the people are too nice. I mean, they're just too nice to be good wrestling crowds because they're just gonna, here's your spoonful of shit, Tampa, and they're gonna fucking suck it up like a child takes his applesauce and not spit it up in your face, mommy. I would have wanted my money's worth. It is all for a show, especially that one. I'm pissed I wasn't even there. Well, I mean, I think but you got to remember, buddy, these McMorons, these idiot McMarks, they're going to be happy because they saw Cody Rhodes win. I mean, that's it. We saw Cody win the Rumble. They're going to go home and they're going to suck their thumb and they're going to put their Mickey Mouse shirt on and, they're going to put their diaper on in the morning and they're going to be fine. So it's like I said, if this show had been in a more jagged city, I mean, WrestleMania in Philly is going to be interesting because that is a heel town. That's heel country. I know you're a wrestling fan, buddy. I get that. But I'm saying, you know, Philadelphia, Chicago, parts of New York, Baltimore. These are some intelligent wrestling towns. The fans are somewhat intelligent or more intelligent. And the Tampa people, I'm not pissing on them. I'm just saying Floridians, for the most part, are very polite. If you've come from the Northeast and you live here now, like I do, sometimes there's like a thing where you want to get into an argument with somebody, but you're afraid to because you don't know who's packing and you don't know what's going on. So you kind of keep your mouth shut. But I mean, in the Northeast, you can get to a friendly argument over a bagel or over a gas station, a Snickers bar or something. In Florida, people are just too nice to fight. Oh, it better be good in Philly, but you need a title change. Well, I don't think it's going to be a Roman Reigns title change. I would say that if Gunther wrestles Seth, that could quite possibly be a title change. I think the CM Punk thing is interesting now. He basically, I wouldn't say he turned heel towards the end of tonight's Rumble, but he acted kind of heelish. I mean, maybe that's a story. Like CM Punk suddenly was the bitter old man again. Like he wasn't the up and coming CM Punk. He was the bitter, I'm not going to lose to Dusty's son. That was a good line. I mean, I think CM Punk might have actually been the MVP of this whole fucking show. Him and Cargill maybe. But Punk, showing heelish tendencies, if it were. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I think. But what's interesting is who does CM Punk wrestle now? I mean, they could do a thing where CM Punk screws Cody. I guess I'll Babe Ruth it now. How about this? The whole tribe, the whole bloodline is banned from ringside. They're all put in a fucking security outfit or something. They're all banned from the WrestleMania main event. And then CM Punk comes out and causes Cody to lose to Roman Reigns. So then you have a CM Punk Cody Rhodes feud to get you through the summer. Basically giving Cody another opt out why he failed to beat Roman. I don't think Cody's beaten Roman, folks. I know that a lot of people will look at the numbers, the how many T-shirts Cody's selling, and Cody's so active, and blah blah blah. Please take the belt off of Roman. I don't think Punk wants the belt. I'm saying Cody is getting it off of Roman. All right, buddy. We can agree to disagree in our predictions. I think. See what you're saying and what you're thinking is the logical thing to do. Cody Rhodes apparently is the number one merch seller in WWE when it comes to T-shirts and so forth. People have been emotionally invested into this story. You tell me if I'm wrong, but the bloodline seems pretty much dead anyway. And I think even in this Tampa crowd, which wasn't the best, but am I wrong to say that they weren't falling for the same old Roman bullshit? Like when Roman did his little, fist in the mat thing and I'm going to punch you in the head. It didn't seem like the fans cared. When he did his little finger in the air thing, it didn't seem like the people gave too much of a shit. I mean, there was some people doing it, but they just seemed like they were going through the motions, buddy. Well, you're saying Cody's due, and I agree. I think maybe more so if Vince still was with the company. I mean, I think I could see the WWE if Hunter's in charge of creative or whoever the fuck's in charge of creative, maybe to get away from the stain of Vince McMahon and all this stuff, they would put the title on a babyface, meaning Cody, because they just want to red, white, and blue themselves out of this bad public image right now. So, I mean, it would make sense to put the title on Cody at WrestleMania. But I'm telling you, I just predicted that they made a deal with the devil. They don't why they're willing to sacrifice people like L.A. Knight and Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes and others to Roman Reigns is because they don't want wrestling fans 10 years from now, 100 years from now, 20 years from now, they don't want them mentioning Bruno Sammartino or Hulk Hogan or Bob Backlund as the longest reigning champions. They want to update that. They want to update history. And the way that you update history is you have a guy legitimately set the record. Now, we know that it's all scripted and so forth, but I think that Roman was the chosen guy based on the lineage of his family, based on maybe just his word, that they just feel that they're putting they're putting Roman to get that longevity award. And whatever storyline they have to conjure, I mean, Cody Rhodes going back to back to wrestle Roman twice, well, then you've squeezed 2 years of WrestleMania out of one guy. So you've only sacrificed one guy twice. So for them, that's a win. When I say them, I mean WWE creative, Triple H, this agenda. As I'm also saying, if this was Vince's idea that I'm saying here, or if Vince approved the idea, now that Vince is supposedly gone, um, does that idea, is it up for change? We'll find out. But once again, I predicted 10 months or 11 months ago, I made a video somewhere on this channel saying that Roman Reigns was going to beat the Bruno record. By the way, Hulk Hogan does not have a longevity record, and neither does Bob Backlund, because only one guy can actually have the record. They keep saying, like, Roman Reigns is going to beat Hulk Hogan's record. Roman Reigns might beat Bob Backlund's record. Those guys didn't have records. They were second or third place to the Bruno record. You could say that they had a personal record or a personal best or just there, but it's not a record in a achievements way. If you were just comparing yourself to yourself, if you catch what I'm saying here, basically one person has the goddamn longevity record. That's Bruno Sammartino. So if Roman Reigns wants to beat a record, he's got to beat Bruno. The Backlund and fucking Hogan and Diesel's 10 months and CM Punk's 10 months. Those are not records. That's just their title reign length, if that makes any sense. Some of the hyperbole just bothers the hell out of me. Another one, Brian, is when wrestlers say, at WrestleMania, I'm going to beat you to be the next WWE World Champion or the next US Champion. I'm going to beat you to be the next champion. Actually, if you beat me, you will be the champion, asshole. If you beat me, you're not going to be the next champion. You're going to be the champion. So I will go to WrestleMania and I will beat you and I will be the world champion. Not I will be the next champion. You can say, uh, I'm the next champion now because I'm going to beat you when I wrestle you. And I am the next champion. I am the next world champion because I'm going to beat you at WrestleMania as long as you don't lose to somebody else in the meantime. But for these fucking idiot wrestlers and these idiot script writers, they're always saying, I'm going to beat you for the title and be the next champion. No, you're not, asshole. If you beat me for the title, then you are the champion. I mean, it's just shit for brain, idiotic stuff like that that I can just the Swiss cheese of pro wrestling logic that I cut through like a knife because these morons don't know how to use the proper English language. And what can you do? I mean, you just have to point out these things for intelligent people like yourself, Brian, to enjoy my insights because the masses don't. They just don't. They don't have the IQ to live up to this type of thinking, apparently. So anyway, I'll get off my high horse for just a moment. Did I forget anything? I mean, we had a shitty, goofy Logan Paul match. We had the women's rumble that was probably the better rumble of the night, just wasn't as over with the fans. We had a men's rumble. I did like the finish. I thought, how long did they go? 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, Punk and Cody. I thought they were in there together for a while. I do like that as a feud, so I'm going to stick with my prediction. I think CM Punk's going to fuck over Cody for that title, for that title opportunity. Keep the belts on Roman. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Seth. Are they going to do Seth versus Gunther? Are they going to do Seth versus Punk? Like I said, it felt like Punk was kind of going heelish on us tonight, and they started up with this Seth Rollins Gunther thing. Where does Drew McIntyre fit into this? I will get into this now. I forgot about this before. When our buddy there, when it came down to the final four, it was Gunther, Seth Rollins, not Seth Rollins, Gunther, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Drew McIntyre. I want to ask you, and you can write another comment. Of those four guys, who looks like the world champion? Let's go through them again. Uh, CM Punk, he's 45 years old, 46. He's about 230 pounds. Somewhat good physique, decent physique. Not a body guy, but he keeps himself in the best shape. He's in wrestler shape. Cody Rhodes probably in the best shape of his life the last couple of years. I don't know if he's on something or if he's just working out better, but Cody looks pretty good for Cody. He's not the tallest guy, he's not the heaviest guy, but Cody's in fairly decent shape. I mean, he's not in 1980s, Lex Luger, Sting, Billy Jack Haynes shape, but he's in fairly decent shape, Cody. Gunther, who's got an interesting shape, he's tall, he's kind of big, but in a different way. Like he doesn't have gym muscles. He kind of just has strength, like a brutal strength guy. And then you have the fucking 285 pounds or 315 pounds of solid muscle. What is he? 6'7", 6'6"? But I would say Drew McIntyre is a legitimate 6'6", and I would say if I had to guess, I'd say he's about 315 pounds. To me, more or less solid as a rock. Why is he looks like the goddamn world champion? I mean, of all these idiots running around this ring, there's one guy that actually looks like an action figure, and that's Drew McIntyre. And I'm a fan of his in some regard. I mean, I'm not a fanboy, but I'd say if you were to ask asshole number 1 and 2 off the street, and you show them CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, and Drew McIntyre, who do they think would win a fight amongst those four? Who would be the last man standing in the room? McIntyre by a mile. He's the guy that looks like a real champion in my book. So I don't know. I just don't get it. I mean, it seemed like Drew was another sacrifice at the altar of Roman Reigns. My buddy Jimmy Faluca, who I'm overdue to do a couple of more of these with, he's been saying that for a couple of years, that they keep putting people at the altar of Roman Reigns and sacrificing guys. And if they're really sacrificing someone, we know that is Drew McIntyre. So where does he fit in? Could he? But he's kind of a tweener now, maybe in between heel and babyface. So it's very interesting. We'll see. But the WWE did accomplish a mission tonight. They had to get over this Vince McMahon stuff. They did a solid, out of 5 stars for the entire show. I'd say a solid 3. You can say that you had a surprise. You had Naomi. I don't think Naomi's coming back full time to WWE. It seemed like just a step in the ocean for her. It seemed like she's still with the group that she's with, TNA. So I don't know. Was fucking Naomi with TNA or MLW? I think she's with TNA. I enjoyed the show, but like I said, it was a 3 star out of 5, not a 5 out of 5, not a 4 out of 5. And that's it. So it's your buddy Mike Messier. If you have any more questions, write them up real quick, because otherwise I'm going to call it a wraps. I will be doing a very special interview. We're scheduled for tomorrow, 1:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with Dirk Manning, the creator. No problem, Brian. I'm just saying that tomorrow, 1:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you come back to One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel, it should be a live broadcast. I'll be interviewing the writer and creator of the comic book about Arn Anderson, which I have a copy of here. It's My Life is the Enforcer, Arn Anderson, My Life is the Enforcer. It's the new comic book by Dirk Manning. And I'll be interviewing Dirk himself through this platform. You'll see my little head on one side, his little head on the other, and we'll be discussing his work as a graphic novel creator, writer, I'm sure he's going to get into all types of interesting things about the creative process. I'm not sure if Dirk is a lifelong wrestling fan or if he just got into this because of the Arn book, but I'm looking forward to finding out. And if you're looking for another cool interview on this show or on this YouTube channel, I'd kindly suggest the Kevin Anton interview. Kevin Anton played Harley Race in the film The Iron Claw. So Kevin and I did a really nice interview about a week and a half ago, and that's on here somewhere. And if you go to one Mike Messier YouTube channel, you can see all of Mike's instant movie reviews. I just saw the Lolita-esque film Miller's Girl with Jen Ortega. Jen Ortega playing a high school girl in this Lolita-esque movie. Very interesting. I've seen most of the big movies recently, and I do them over. I review them on Mike's Instant Movie Review on one Mike Messier. I have another YouTube channel, One Artist Mike Messier, which shows my original artwork. And my original films is One Man in a Camera Films. As you may or may not know, I also publish books to an extent. Here's one of my publishings, Kate Spain's Bad Girls with Good Tattoos, by the one and only Kate Spain. This is available on Amazon. And my other books are wonderful and awesome, and you should buy them. Okay, folks. Thanks for the interaction, Brian. No problem with the phone, buddy. And we will see. We'll have a gentleman's bet, no money. You're saying Cody's getting off of Roman. I'm saying that Cody is getting pinned. Rody, how's that for a wrestler? I say Roman pins Cody once again due to interference at Mania from CM Punk. Starting the CM Punk Cody feud, you say Cody finally finishes the story and gets that title. All right, everybody, have a good night. Your buddy Mike Messier.